I'm Bob the Cigar Guy, and I'm going to tell you, I don't think anybody could argue with me or deny that Jonathan Drew and Drew Estate think outside the box. They have amazing blends, amazing partners in tobacco, and one of my favorite cigars from Drew Estate, one that I'll grab and smoke and smile every time I do, is this Pappy Van Winkle barrel fermented cigar. This Tapa Negra, the tobacco came from the Kentucky. It was fire cured and then sent down to Mark Ryan's place in Pappy Van Winkle barrels, pushed down in that pre-process, and the unctuousness and deliciousness that comes out of this is legendary to me. Mexican San Andreas is the rest of the wrapper. And then there's, if I'm not mistaken, is Nicaraguan fillers and Nicaraguan and some more Kentucky tobacco inside. And this thing is, to me, a definition of a perfect partnership. What do I mean? The farm in Kentucky that takes that tobacco, stalk cuts it, hangs it up to dry, and then they set basically the barn on fire. They smoke the bottom of that barn out, and it infuses this smoke into the tobacco, which gives it that ham house Kentucky fire cured flavor, that signature flavor. And then they take that tobacco and they send it down to New Orleans, well, La Poche Parish, and they have Mark Ryan's group down there cram it into Pappy Van Winkle barrels, 500 pounds pressed in there, put on huge railroad jacks, and they spend the next 18 months to 2 years allowing it to ooze out the essence and the maturation of that tobacco in a way that no other tobacco does. There is no other experience like that Perique process. It has a signature unto its own. Like Drew Estate. Started off with acids, got into ligas, everything in between. There's something in there for everybody. And this Pappy, there's nothing like it in the Drew Estate line. There's nothing like it in the whole wide world. So that's the end of the review. I'll talk about flavors as we smoke through, that unctuousness, that berries, that cranberries, that dried cranberries, that ham house flavor, the little bit of minerality, the turned earth, the leathers. But sadly, just recently we lost Mark Ryan to this world. If you don't know Mark Ryan, you've never been to a barn smoker, because he's there at the Pappy booth telling stories and sharing his knowledge about tobacco, just being a friend to everybody. He was the one that kept the pre-process alive pretty much. I remember getting to meet him at one of the barn smokers down in Louisiana at his factory, and I was just enthralled with the process and the smells and the experience. And then over the years, I've got to sit down and spend time with him while we're doing the shows at Barn Smoker, and the after times where all the staff and the volunteers all get together and just hang out at the hotel, smoking cigars, telling stories. Him and Miss Emily. Fantastic team. Mark lived a life. He lived 3 or 4 lives. He did so much, and he was willing to share, and he was willing to tell stories. If you ever sat down with Mark for 5 minutes, you sat down with Mark for an hour, because he had a story to tell, and you wanted to listen to it. Stories about everything, not just tobacco, about life. He was generous, kind, generous. I don't think you ever met somebody that wasn't a friend the first time you met them. Miss Emily was a perfect pairing for that. She was always there with him and adding to his stories and listening to him. And every once in a while I'd be like, Mark, it's time to go to bed, because he'd stay up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with us. And we'd have a great time. Moments pass by so fast with him. I'm sad that he's not with us anymore, that I can sit and hear his stories. Barn Smokers are going to be a little less explosive. But I'm so glad that I got to meet him. I'm so glad that Jonathan Drew said, let's think outside the box. Let's do something different nobody's ever done. And he sought out different tobaccos and different purveyors. He came across this Perique process, and he basically said, what if we took some of this Kentucky tobacco that's fire cured and send it down there, and let's see what happens when we put that together. He took a chance. He took a risk. And that risk gave this amazingness to the world. This is not hyperbole when I say that this is one of my go-to cigars. I truly enjoy the cigar. And I truly enjoy the fact that I got to meet Mark Ryan. A true gentleman, a true tobacco man, that's for sure. And a guy who lives life. My friend, you'll be missed. So today, this is just my poor opportunity to just tell a friend I'm going to miss him and thank him for being him. So today I smoked a cigar in honor of Mark Ryan. Find people that make your life better. Infuse yourself with the greatness that they have. Allow them to pour into you. Mark Ryan did that for me. And I'm so glad this cigar tastes so good. Mark, you're going to be missed. Later, Tater.